Welcome to the Bill and Gypsy Show.
Where we help you all turn your wedding dreams of sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows
into amazing experiences as we make you the hero of your own story, as we are your trusted guide, and we have experienced guests like our guest today, Miss Christina from the Deering Estate.
Bill has catered well over 10,000 weddings, y'all, starting back in the 1960s. Ooh. And while he is just shy of age 75, he is not retired or even considering. He's actually refired. His South Florida weddings at the Sky Museum and Gardens, Villa Woodbine, Deering Estates, the Backlot, you name it, are sought after by those with very distinctive tastes.
And Gypsy, oh my gosh, I've known Gypsy for 10 years, and there's more to Gypsy than simply sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. She's basically lived weddings her whole life. She knows what works, and she also knows what doesn't work. So if you're excited but still confused and apprehensive about your big day or your big event, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You're on the right channel, because here we're going to help you create those weddings and events that will create oohs and ahs from your guests.
And I'll tell you what, y'all, one of the first steps always in planning your wedding is what? Finding that perfect location. And one of the so perfect and so stunning venue in South Florida is the Deering Estates. And Christina, an event manager at the Deering Estate, is here to tell us all about how to create a beautiful wedding at a venue and tell us a little bit more about the Deering Estates. I would love to welcome you all to meet Miss Christina. Welcome, Christina, to the show.
Thank you, Bill and Gypsy. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited.
Yeah, well, that's good because, you know, people, I always say at my age, I'm happy to be anywhere. So that's a good thing. So thank you for joining us, and also your partner down there, Jenna. I've worked at the Deering going back into either the late 80s or early 90s, even before Hurricane Andrew pretty much destroyed a lot of the property. So it's exciting to see what you guys have done down there. So tell us a little bit about what makes the Deering Estate special. You know, there are other venues similar along the coastline of Miami, but what is it that you guys offer that some of the other venues don't?
So Deering actually has a little bit of everything that is really nice for any couple. So we have like lush, naturally elegant spots that are really great for couples that like garden style weddings. We have that classic historic architecture for really nice, timeless, romantic feeling. And then our big wow is our unobstructed views of Biscayne Bay. With those endless water views, we like to say that couples can have the feeling of a beach wedding, but not have to deal with any sand.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
With the current situation, and especially, I mean, first of all, your venue is absolutely stunning. Again, I love it, love it. With the current situation that we have now, with the pandemic, we're noticing that more couples are downsizing. So there's now an interest in the more intimate packages, also known as elopement packages. And I know you all put a couple of packages together. Can you tell us a little bit about your packages?
Sure. So right now we have two packages called our Do Minimonis, which is a play on ceremonies, and the Happily Ever After micro weddings. And in the future, we are looking to offer more packages so it can really truly fit any type of couple's idea. So for right now, these two packages, the I Do Minimoni basically allows couples to choose their favorite spot on site at Deering Estate, whether it be a garden spot or a waterfront spot, and then they can have their closest loved ones join them as they say I do together. With this option, it is really nice, intimate, minimal, and simple. So it really highlights the couple and their love for each other. and they can bring in their choice of photographer, officiant, and if they'd like also like a string musician. However they see their intimate I do's. And then the happily ever after micro wedding is building off of the mini moni, and they get to curate their specially selected teams of rentals and florists so they can just decor, like have the decor, decorate everything they'd like, and afterwards maybe have a champagne toast and a wedding cake with their guests. In the future, we're hopefully looking to offer options where you guys at Bill Hansen's or however the couple sees fit can bring in and have maybe like a catered dinner, but that's in the works right now.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So I think we're really seeing that smaller, more intimate events are currently in vogue. Let me ask you this, Christina. Do you think it's going to continue? Do you think as we go into 2021 and 2022 that the trend for smaller, more intimate weddings will continue?
So I don't think it's ever going to surpass like the standard wedding where people want to have their 50, 100, 200, however many guests they'd like. But I do think as a lot more couples realize that this is an option for them, that we're still going to see these intimate elopements or small weddings grow. Some couples just simply don't want to have such a big affair. They would rather have something simple and nice. So those couples that are now realizing, oh my gosh, I can have this, will absolutely be looking for it. And I feel like the wedding industry is just going to have packages to accommodate those smaller couples, but then also continue on with the couples that want the wedding dream with the 250 guests.
So real quick, as a follow-up question, one of the packages that we offer at our venue, Villa Woodbine in Coconut Grove, is the opportunity for a Zoom wedding where we work with a company, Event Factor, and they actually will set up all the paraphernalia so that the couple can have their wedding broadcast to those people that are unwilling or unable to travel down for the wedding. Have you had any requests for that yet?
Absolutely. So recently with the virtual events gaining popularity, we actually had a virtual cabaret in our ballroom, historic ballroom. With that, we are completely open for it. Some outdoor spaces might be a little bit more difficult to have the virtual setup than others, just because of the nature of it, where the Wi-Fi wouldn't be able to reach. But it is completely possible where couples can either do a live broadcast or record it and then send it to their family members and friends so they can witness it.
Beautiful.
That's great. That's great. Yes, it is. That's so important because we've had quite a few already weddings where they were zoomed to the Ukraine, New Zealand, Scotland, all over. What is, and I'm, you know, when I put down this question, I thought to myself, the typical thing of like, what's the number one question that anyone, when they first call and your phone rings, what's the first question a bride and groom asks you? And I'm assuming now that first question when your phone rings from a bride and groom has probably changed a little since March. So what's now the target question they ask when your phone first rings?
So the question is, in a sense, how many guests can we accommodate? That's been a popular question since before March, but now couples are really asking if we can accommodate smaller number of guests if we have the smaller packages, but they're still asking just generally how many guests would they need to have a wedding here. So we can have weddings of just 4 people where it's nice and intimate, or we can have weddings of 400 and more, and we have plenty of space to fit people even with like current social distancing.
So may I ask you, when you said you can even do like a wedding of 4 people or so in other words, if they wanted like a prime date in high season, like November, January, October, whatever, will they still be able to rent the facility for that, for people only, as opposed to your typical 100 and something plus guests?
They can. It depends on their needs for the wedding, and it depends on the time frame as well. So with our intimate weddings, we have a lot more flexibility with times, where if they would like to have an intimate sunrise wedding and see the sunrise above the bay, they are more than welcome to. Or if they want to have it at midday, anything like that. So it all depends on what the couple would like and what their vision is.
You know, I've read that there's really, particularly here in South Florida, there's only so many prime dates available. That, in fact, I've read that only about half of the Saturdays in the course of the year represent over 50% of the weddings. So with all that being said, and with so many couples who are postponing their 2020 wedding to 2021, how soon do you think couples really should start looking for dates if they're interested in a prime date, like a Saturday? Or what advice would you give them if they're looking for a Friday or a Sunday or even a Thursday? I can remember one time I catered a wedding at the Deering on a Wednesday. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So talk to us a little bit about date demands and some of the advice you would give couples on that.
So with the first question, how far in advance should they be looking to plan and book in the case that they want a prime Saturday date? We usually see that our prime Saturdays book about maybe a year and a half in advance, maybe even longer, depending. But if couples are willing to be a little bit more flexible, possibly look for maybe Sundays or Fridays or even weekdays, they would have more of a chance of choosing a date that they really would like. And here at Deering, we see that Saturdays, of course, like a lot of other venues, are prime, followed by Sundays, and then followed by weekdays, which would be Monday through Friday. With them being flexible with their dates and maybe even considering a date that they might not have considered before, it could turn out to be even better. It's a little bit less stress, and they end up being happier because they got a really nice date and it wasn't a Saturday.
And actually, too, I would imagine the pricing on the off nights is less than it is on a prime Saturday. Am I correct?
Oh, yes. So our weekday rates, which are from Monday through Thursday, are less than our prime dates, which are a Friday through Sunday. So we have a 25% special rate currently to any weekday dates, excuse me.
Okay. Do you ever negotiate the price with anybody?
With that, our prices are set by the Miami-Dade County Commissioners, so we can't really negotiate. But what we do is that we offer our different options. So now that we have our elopement options, we possibly offer that, or we have different spaces that aren't on our main grounds that we can also offer as well.
Wonderful.
And talking about that, you know, we touch upon weekday weddings, which is becoming very popular, and actually has been, and not just because of the pandemic, because that has been popular for a while now, having a Monday through Thursday wedding. What are all the benefits for having a wedding either Monday through Thursday as opposed to one on the weekend?
So with the weekday weddings, couples really have a high chance of getting their top date booked, and their vendors would probably be available on those top dates as well, so they can have their special date honored sooner rather than later. Like if they'd want to have a specific date but they're waiting for a Saturday, they can wait years. But if they decide to have their specific date and it ends up on a Tuesday, they wouldn't have to wait as long. And also, like with our venue, like I mentioned, we do have the special rates. I'm sure that other vendors would also have special weekday rates as well.
That's for sure. We have special rates for our, for our catering company too. One of the things that I've seen is a plethora of venues popping up throughout Florida where they offer their venue, but guess what? They don't have a license to operate. And in many cases, they don't have the necessary insurance either. So what advice would you give to those couples who say, well, I can go over at this place, 2 miles away, and I can have my wedding done there and it'll be half the price? What do you tell them?
They should really ask the venues and ask the vendors if they have the proper insurance and the licenses and such. Without it, they can end up not having a venue or not having a vendor because they didn't have these things, and they can just cancel out of the blue for them. So as long as couples ask and are sure and read their contracts and everything, they will be good.
What are your rules, real quick, as far as vendors? I'm sure you have a preferred vendor list, but what if a couple comes to you and they say, oh, my brother-in-law, he's going to tend bar, and Aunt Mabel is going to do the cooking? How do you deal with that one?
So we let them know that we require insurance for those types of vendors. We require like liquor liability insurance. And we let them know that any vendors that we are not familiar with would have to meet with myself and meet with my manager, Jenna, and then we can talk through everything, see if they have the proper insurance and the ability to work with us.
And if they have the license.
Right.
Because Aunt Mabel probably doesn't have a license to cater. So that's great. And the brother-in-law that's a bartender hasn't been through sensible service of alcohol training. So that's smart.
It's funny because you said Aunt Mabel, and back home in Tennessee, the word is always Aunt Susie. So it's amazing, different parts of the country. Our aunt is Aunt Susie. But oh my God, Jenna, you've been awesome. Let me ask you this for the last question is, what is the main advice that you have for couples out there when they're first looking for a venue? What is your main advice that you and Jenna give to all your couples?
So when they're first looking for a venue, I always recommend to really look for your theme first. So really look through Pinterest, look through potential venues, look through everything you can to really determine what theme you want. And then after that would really help you narrow down your venues, because then you know if the venue really meshes well with your theme. And then once you get to learn your venues and you start doing your walkthroughs and your tours, really just get to know what the venue is capable of and what is possible at that venue, so you can know if your dreams can be a reality there.
That's great. And one simple way for couples to review all of the venues here in South Florida is on Bill Hansen Miami Venues, where we have nearly 200 venues listed of all price ranges, all styles, all capacity. And we have venues all the way from Palm Beach down into the Florida Keys. So little self-promotion there. But Christina, thank you. You and I go way back. We've known each other, and I'm really proud to watch you grow and prosper and see the great job you're doing down at the Deering. So thank you. And we encourage our viewers, if you like what you see, please click on like. If you have a question, send it in to us. Gypsy and I are full of answers. We're probably full of some other stuff too. But mainly,
years of
yeah, years and years. But we're full of answers, and obviously we do one of these shows every week. So please tune in next week for our next guest. For info on Christina and Jenna down at the Deering Estate, we're going to put that up on the screen so you can reach out. And I would personally and highly recommend the Deering as one of the venues that you should look at when you're planning a wedding. So
Definitely, absolutely breathtaking. It's a piece of everything. When it comes to the gardens, you can see the bay, beautiful, and that historic feel. Thank you, Christina. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for having me.